Hello dear friends, we continue to explore 16 types. Last time we were talking about it types. It is four personality types. It is who have got it energy as dominating. And as I mentioned before, we have got also ego types, superego types, and superid types. Today I will continue with superid types. So we continue to explore irrational types. But this time we're talking about introverted and dynamic. This is in comparison to it types, who is extroverted and static. Both groups are irrationals. Irrationals means that it is a leading perception, and this is very usual for animals, yeah. Because perception gives them insight how to behave, and they behave very quickly if necessary. Why we call it superid types? First of all, that name was in the model A. That's how Ausra made the model and separated the it in actually it part of personality and superid. That was made by Ausra. In my concept, I associate superid energy not only with the god of the Thanatos from the theory of Sigmund Freud, but also with the archetype of shadow from the theory of Carl Jung. And now when we come to talk about it, we need to know who was Carl Jung. He was a Swiss psychiatrist who worked at the first part of 20th century. He was originally the student of Sigmund Freud, and then they were friends, and that's why they have got common part in their theory about personality having the ego, conscious part, subconscious, or individual, personal unconscious, and then just general unconscious, the deepest part of personality. In Jung's model was the ego, personal unconscious. It is repressed memories, but something we can reach if we try to remember it, experience of the individual. And then there was the part of collective unconscious. It is the deepest part of personality, and it consists memories, knowledge, which is common to all people. So according to Jung, we inherit this part of personality, collective unconscious, which already has got like pre-existing forms of knowledge or patterns. I have read a few definitions of archetype, and I liked the simplest one is the original pattern or model from which something is copied. This is archetype. But Jung's theory suggested that these archetypes, archaic forms of innate human knowledge, passed down from our ancestors. What is it? It is, for example, fear and reaction to spiders, or to something which moves very quickly, maybe snake, and so on. He was also explored many symbols which people have in common. For example, the witch. Every culture, every nation has got this symbol and understanding of the witch, but has got different names. And Jung also believed that these symbols appear in the dreams, in our dreams. That's why some part of his work was about exploring the dreams and dream symbols. So he was Swiss psychiatrist. And now we know what is the archetype. So it's like pre-existing patterns, but when the person actually starts to live his life, to develop, so he feels these patterns of behavior. And they are not accidental, like people look at the videos or any information and they sympathize with certain characters, with certain models, and that helps them to grow personally, to develop. Okay, what archetypes we actually talking about? It is the persona. Persona is the mask which the person wear in social situations. It is how the person want to be and want to appear to others. You can say maybe it is the best part of yourself you want to show to the world. You don't want to show something which is bad, which we know we have got, which is not really we are proud about. And this part which we try to hide from the others, it is archetype shadow. Sometimes archetype shadow compare with the skeleton which we hide in our closet, wardrobe. Another two archetypes, animus and anima, it is representation of the male and female part in one person, because we all have got these parts. No, obviously, if you are a woman, then this part maybe would be dominant, and so on. The hero is the archetype is about the person who wants to achieve goals, who wants to overcome difficulties and challenges, and who is on a journey of self-improvement, self-perfection. Yes, I mean, this is the four which are the main, but there are many others. He described human characters. I think he's got 12 human characters, archetypes, which with whom people can associate themselves or others, and that helps them to understand themselves and the others. Actually, if we look about the typology, any typology, it is also like a form of some sort of general form of representation of certain personality characteristics, and they can be also understood as archetypes, if you want to, with whom we associate. And of course, it helps us to understand ourselves and others. Yes, so Superid types. It is associated with many things of the world. This energy, we call it dark energy, so that means dark colors. It is also associated with death, with aggression. But the main quality of Superid types, we have got 4 of them. It is Yesenin, Dumas, ethical Superid types, and Balzac and Gabin, it is logical Superid types. And they are, of course, each pair has got intuitive and sensory type. I would say the major quality of this type is actually sensing, prediction of danger, and the ability to adapt to it, to adjust to it, and to survive. I think these types, like no other types among 16 types, who can teach us how to survive in a critical situation. When you need to perceive the danger to the full extent and to be able to adjust to it. Like to go down like submarine on the floor of the bed, on the bed floor of the ocean. Yes, the program function of Superid types is intuition, introverted intuition, NI, or we call it white intuition as well. In socionics, we call it intuition of time, but it's also intuition of changes in time. Yes, and intuitive types like Balzac and Yesenin, who has got it as a program function, they are very good observers and easily to imagine how things will develop. Yesenin, intuitive ethical types, is creative and emotional, because second function is actually ethics of emotions. They are good actors, they can uplift the mood, can be very creative writers, actors, painters, and intuitive logical types, they can be a good writer, because Balzac himself was actually a French writer who wrote around 19 novels and create many realistic characters who produced a picture of that situation where he lived in, of that time, and people's nature. But Balzac's, because they are logical, intuitive, they are often work with the banks, with finances, because they objectively analyze the trends, the existing trends, and how the market will develop. They're usually good investors of finances. But again, it is creative people. They are great philosophers as well. So it really depends where the person of this type won't direct themselves, in what professional field. Yes, they usually like black clothes, but that's to hide maybe. Black color is very good to hide of unwanted attention and so on. And emotionality is quite reserved. They're very sensitive people, and sometimes they find it hard how to react to emotional person. And Yesenin is on the opposite. It is emotional type. Yesenin was very famous Russian poet. He wrote very romantic poetry about people, about nature, very much loved. On his poetry, people make songs. But he was a bit explosive nature as well. That's how emotions bring him to be, and he was involved in a few fights during his life. So this we were talking about introverted, intuitive, ethical and logical types, Yesenin and Balzac. Then we have got two types which dominant function is introverted sensing. What is introverted sensing? It's about comfort, it's about harmony, and how things, elements combine together to create the comfort. Usually Dumas are very good cooks, they love cooking, and if you look on YouTube all these videos, you can find quite a few of these people who teach cooking Dumas. They enjoy it because they enjoy taste, they understand it, maybe wine testers and so on. But they also good designers of the clothing, and they know how to fit the accessories of the clothes. And generally they are very positive emotionally. They also create a very nice atmosphere. And of course sensory types, Superid types, they know how to care about person. And this is not only about Dumas, that's also about Gabin. Maybe they just a little bit different in what they do and how they create this comfortable environment, because Gabin is more logical, so he can build things, do things, and that's why like objects, I mean working with the objects, and that's why it is called he is called craftsman, this type. They usually like to collect some maybe instruments, maybe knives or beautiful bottles. As a sensory type, they are attracted to sensory objects, the objects which you can feel. And the people say that Gabins are good at creating, I don't know, some instrument, something special, because they feel how comfortable this instrument is which they create. They can be doing keys, you know, like working, making keys and so on, or with some sort of technology, let's say that. But they both have got caring nature. When they come to visit you, or they like to please people with something tasty, something nice, bring food, and so on. Yes, if we talk about the prototypes, which Augustin Chuta gave these types, we talked about Yesenin, Russian poet, Balzac, French writer, who lived actually the first part of 19th century. And Dumas, it's also a French writer, and the most popular book is Three Musketeers. There are films about it. And Jean-Paul Gabin is French actor. Yes, what else can we say in comparing white intuition and white sensory? Is that sensory types, they are pretty lazy, yeah, but it's not as such lazy. I mean, all Superid types, they are about saving energy. They try not to overdo things. They don't see sense in that. Yeah, they try to do only what necessary, and if they do something, yeah, they have got a good result, very good result, but not too much hectic movements. They can be upset if they lose time. Sensory types, in particular Gabin, if they hoped and did not receive something and they already kind of contributed themselves somehow emotionally or timely, so they can be disappointed about it. So that's yes, that is, but that's also the possibility, that's how they adjust to the reality when necessary to survive by not producing too many movements and actions. So I can compare sensory Superid types with a candle. When you put the candle in the room, it's just there, it stands there, it doesn't do much, but it creates very nice, pleasant atmosphere. And Gabin types, sensory logical introverts, they sometimes say very little. They don't really need much. They kind of enjoy themselves by being, I don't know, watching TV, something very trivial things. Of course, they like nature, they like to go to the water, because introverts and sensing is associated with water, so they like to do fishing or be in nature. Yes, and the intuitive types, they are very imaginative types. They, talking about intuitive logical, Balzac, intuitive ethical, Yesenin, they can lose themselves in the imaginary world. And sometimes they can fall out of time. They can walk somewhere, like going for a walk, and thought about something, and they kind of fall out of time. They can appear somewhere and thinking, oh, what I'm doing here, where am I? Yeah. And some pictures which they choose for pictures which they like can be exactly like that. Somebody stands in the middle of the square full of shoes, or somebody stands like in the middle of the river, and like people like not in real world. But we also know about Anna Frank, the Jewish girl in Holland, when Holland was occupied, and she was hiding with her family in the attic, and just the war to end, closer to the end of the war, the family was found, and Anna Frank died with her relatives. But she left behind her diary, how she wrote diary, and she said that she was living this difficult time in a small room with her family, but she was not there. She was actually imagining a different world. Yes, so that's intuitive Superid types. And on the side of the behavior, how we recognize these people on the behavior as well, if we interact with these people, they change their mind pretty quickly from one day to another, because intuition of time, right intuition is also intuition of doubt. These people do not prefer to make decisions on the spot. They need a lot of time to see the trends, to feel how it might go, and more than often they prefer to wait and see and to observe, just to wait. And sometimes they might lose opportunities, but again, they can always justify themselves because they remember the examples of situations, how it was before, how it was in the future, and how it did happen later. So then they basically hold strong on their doubts and wait until the right time comes, which for others might feel like very indecisive, very mind-changing. The song of Katy Perry, You hot and you cold, you in and you out. Yeah, her type is Zhukov, and she thinks actually about Yesenin, more than likely. That's all I would like to finish. Please read these 4 types about Superid types. Intuitive ethical type Yesenin, intuitive logical Balzac, sensory logical Gabin, and sensory ethical Dumas. And we will carry on later with other types. Thank you for watching.